legal representation for the state
of
ABATE,
Georgia. That's right.
Georgia ABATE. So if I ever get in trouble with ABATE-related matters,
you got to give him your retainer.
Huh?
Yeah, listen, the last time we went to New Orleans.
My retainer.
Yeah.
You good? Okay.
It's going?
You got the floor,
Okay. So I've been general counsel to ABATE for about 20 years. And we talked about this at the last pre-GINA party. I joined ABATE in 1982 in college. I remember going with my sister and her husband, and it was the Christmas party for a New York ABATE, where we lived in New York. And it was 5 inches of snow on the ground, and two bikers came on J model Harleys with chains on them, with leather belts, through the snow, up on the sidewalk. I thought that was, I don't know what this organization is, but I'm joining it. I've been riding for over 40 years. There was another lawyer who was ABATE's general counsel. He died back in the 90s, and he was a friend of mine. He was a nice guy, so I took over then. And I've been doing ABATE's work, corporate work, their general bylaw stuff. We just had a bylaw session. And the board of directors work for about 20 years. Long enough that, to me, in my mind, subconsciously, ABATE still harkens back to Lakewood. Who remembers Lakewood? You guys do. You do. You've been the amphitheater, right? I mean, I remember when we had Lakewood, we had between 3,000 and 4,000 members. And we would have, like the Moto Pack, we'd raise $15,000. I mean, Lakewood, when that died, ABATE died a little bit. We've kind of reinvented ourselves now. Brian, our leader, is awesome. The website's better, outreach is better, and our events are getting very good. I mean, I go to ABATE events in a lot of different states. We do 5 or 6 major rallies across the country and 2 national rallies, me and Miss Mandy. We're going to Russia next year and Italy for a hog rally and for a club rally, a 1% club in Russia that I'm friends with. So we get out and about pretty much a lot. And ABATE in Georgia is on the mend and it's on the rise. Our membership is rising. There's a lot of passion in the organization. We've kind of gotten away from a helmet focus, which was kind of a waste of time for 15 years. And we found some other great legislation to work on. Lane splitting, red light bill, hands-free bill. You know, we've got a half a dozen things in the fire. And the helmet thing will come. You know, we're 25 in and 25 out in the United States on helmet law. We just happen to be in Georgia, conservative, you know, buckle the Bible belt, so to speak. But motorcycle deaths are what I'm supposed to talk about. I talk about a lot of different things to a lot of MROs and a lot of 1% clubs across Georgia. So motorcycle deaths in Georgia, frankly, you know, they keep me in business. It's a crazy, you wouldn't think that a law firm, and I'm not just some guy, we have a dozen people at my firm processing motorcycle wreck cases every day. I see more motorcycle wreck cases than any cop you've ever met, any EMT, doctor, ambulance driver. It's all we do. We just did a poll in our office in December. We carry about 700 cases in my office. We've got half a dozen lawyers and paralegals, investigators, all that stuff. We went through the files. We got a Georgia State University crew to come in, these young statisticians, and they figured out that 45% of our cases come from left-hand turns. The ubiquitous left-hand turn. We hear it all the time. I'm in the hospital room. I'm at the rehab facility. I'm home at the hospital bed with the client. Sometimes I know them, sometimes I don't. And you know, you get the police report. Got one in my pocket right now. Left-hand turn. And like the officer said, I never saw him. We hear that constantly. And like you said, eye contact means nothing. If I had a dime for every time somebody said to me, I looked right at him, and he looked right at me. You got to look at the wheels, and you got to proceed very cautiously. In the 80s, here in Georgia, we just crested 100 deaths a year on motorcycles, looking at the NTSA statistics. When you get into the 90s, I moved from New York. I come here. Frankly, I was in homicide in the DA's office. I worked murder cases and vehicular homicide cases in Fulton County for the district attorney there. So I did that for 10 years through the 90s till about almost 2000. And a lot of motorcycle cases. And frankly, it comes down to this. Motorcyclists die in a disparate ratio with cars because, frankly, we're vulnerable. You know, God willing, I haven't never been in a major wreck. I've wrecked a lot on the track or at, you know, I've taken every course there is. I took a week-long course at the Jamie James Racing School back in 2012. I was the slowest and brokest professional racer in America. And we learned one thing, that at almost 50 years old, I wasn't going to get any faster. But I did learn to lead with my chin, and I always say that. A lot of guys give you a lot of different advice, you know, how to slide across the seat and how to make eye contact with the road and watch the apex of your turn. For me, I use my chin to point where I'm going to, and I keep my chin level. I just met with a guy, a paraplegic, who was rode for 45 years, ex-military guy, who took his eyes off the road on the Dragon. Somebody introduced me to him. He's in a support network. I went and talked to him. And he went off the road by himself, 65 years old. Now he's paralyzed. He just wasn't paying attention. It's a sad story. But I use my chin as a leveling block to measure the apex and determine my curvature and how I negotiate my turns. But back to the deaths. We're now over 200 deaths in Georgia this year. We're probably going to crest 270 this year. We're up 14% on average over the past 4 years. Now, last year we dipped a little bit, but according to NTSA, but they were using 5-year median statistics to make it look like we were just going up less fast. Right? We've got 350,000 registered bikes. So inevitably we're going to have deaths. We have nothing compared to California. We've got way more than Alabama. It's a numbers game. Why do motorcyclists die in wrecks? It's plainly evident. No, you have to be a rocket scientist to figure that out. We're just super vulnerable. And what do I see? I see a lot of close calls, a lot of non-contact wrecks. They see the guy coming. He's making a left turn. He's pulling out from the mailbox. He's going through a yellow light, and they extract themselves from the bike, or they make a maneuver and hit the culvert. They avoid death. They still get hurt, right? And it's up to me to show causation that despite no contact, it was still the other driver's fault. We have a team that does that, a reconstruction team. But what we find is when we survey the rider, we always confiscate their clothing, their motorcycle, and their helmet. I've got a barn full of motorcycles, my clients' motorcycles, and I've got evidence bags full of bloody clothes because they tell a great tale of the injured rider. And when I pull a yellow safety vest that'll blind you in a courtroom with all the lighting, and the schmuck at the defense table says, "We didn't even see him." When I pull that yellow safety vest out, you can see the jurors rolling their eyes. Like, how could you not see that? You know the tape that you can buy at Home Depot, the reflective stuff? And sometiime at night it's on a tractor trailer and it's like, wow, is that lit up? Is that electrified? But it's just a reflective neon tape. That tape, that's Bruce Harvey. Hey, Bruce, say hi to everybody.
Hi, Bruce! That shit is good, though. That shit is really good.
We're not talking about marijuana. Tell everybody what I left at your office today. Be honest.
We're talking about bison grass vodka.
Bison grass vodka, that's right. See? I acquired from the ride home.
Liquefied marijuana.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, it really is fucking good.
Oh, awesome. I went to Poland. I brought them back a vodka that they make with bison grass. It has a green hue to it. Everybody knows who Bruce Harvey is, a famous lawyer. So he's all happy about that. That shit is good, man. Oh, clear that one up. I dropped it at his office today. I was downtown. So the reflective tape, everybody should have that. Let me tell you what I did. I went in, and this is super kitschy cool too. I went into Department of Public Tags and Title, right? So my birthday, I get a commercial envelope because of all the crap I have to put stickers on. Uncle Sam, Big Brother, whoever, they want my VIG for trailers and bikes and hot rods and blah, blah, blah. Well, they got those stickers that says, "In God We Trust." Right? I'm a Christian guy, whatever. I grew up Catholic. Catholic I grew up. Parents come from Ireland. It's like a cult. So they said, "Can I have some of those?" She said, "Yeah, take them." I said, "How many can I have?" She said, "How many do you want?" I took 100 of them. And those are that neon reflective, blind you bright. And I put them on the frame rails. And it's cool. People walk by and say, "Oh, in God We Trust." That's cool, man. Where'd you get that? Got them at free at Department of Tags and Titles. So on the frame rails of my old knuckleheads and panheads, I have that on there. And it's easy to wipe grease off of. And if you look at me sideways, it looks like a 12-volt LED light. It's super bright. So next time you get your tags done, take a dozen of those and stick them somewhere on your bike. That could save your life. Helmets, colored helmet, because that is the one common denominator that drivers who hit motorcycles can remember seeing. At the last minute, they see that helmet. And there's a difference, I believe, in whether the helmet is reflective or is just a plain black helmet, right? Now, when I moved here, a lot of the 1% guys didn't like wearing helmets at all, and they would wear, brain buckets or a big do-rag, really, just a crappy novelty. Nowadays, it's tightened up, and they're full-face helmets on all these guys, and it's a smart move. And I've seen less incidents of traumatic brain injury, TBIs, in these wrecks because of the full-face helmets. Now, I'm a half-shell guy, right? But in the wintertime and on the interstate, always a full-face, me and my girl, Miss Mandy. The helmet is absolutely necessary. And look, I'm a freedom of choice guy. I don't want to be told that I can't. What's in the news today? Open carry, right? I don't want to be told stuff by the government. It really pisses me off. Will I comply with the law? Yeah, I'll take my own things into account. Helmet, I'll wear it, but I don't want to have to wear it. If I want to cruise to get milk without my helmet on an old panhead, I want to be able to do that. So that's a fight for 10 years from now when our numbers are back to where they were in the 80s and our budget is back to where they were for ABATE, right? Right now we got bigger fish to fry. But on the deaths, visibility, left-hand turns, when you see somebody at a light coming up on your right-hand side, you got to assume they're making a left-hand turn, and you got to assume you're invisible. Who remembers Jamie James? He was the national AMA Superbike champion in the 80s. He was 5'0". They called him the Raging Cajun. He was like the Michael McGrath of the 80s, right? He was a badass superbike racer. He taught me. He was my instructor at my racing school when I got my racing license. And he used to say, ride it like you're invisible, like you're invisible. And that stuck with me. My son's 14, he's had a bunch of little Z50s, and now he's into dirt bikes, and we just bought him a Monkey. The new Monkey. Have you seen the Honda Monkey? Yeah. They now making a Trail 50 from when we were kids. They're making it on a Grom platform. We use it at the campsite. We use it at the gun range. We run around like a pit bike. We'll have it up in Helen at the rally. And it's got a plate and signals and all, but it scares the shit out of me. Because now I got skin in the game. I got a teenage boy who can't wait to get on a bike. So for me, intellectually, I got to practice what I preach. Right? He does what I do. Right? He drives like I drive. He shoots like I shoot. And he's going to ride a motorcycle like I ride a motorcycle. He does. He does. He does. He does. Him and his buddies all shaved their heads except for 14, whatever. It's not weed. It's not the Xbox. Fine. I'm fine. He's a good kid. He's a band nerd. He's the first chair trumpet player in his high school marching band. So anyway, he's also a blacksmith. He's going to have a booth at the ABATE rally. He's going to sell some knives. He's a blade maker.
Did you get the vendor application?
I did. Frank gave it to me. So the left-hand turns, the visibility, the tape, the jacket, those yellow jackets. I can't say as I have one of those yellow jackets. They're crazy ugly. But I do have reflective piping that I had put on my motorcycle jacket that any seamstress can sew that on. It's super bright. And while I have a black motorcycle, I put LED lights on it. LED lights make all the difference in the world. Now, why does the driver say, I never saw them? Well, for a couple of reasons. It's mass. I'm a member of the governor's motorcycle safety task force, right? So once every couple of months, 30 guys get together, cops, engineers, politicians, and injury lawyers, amongst some other people too, traffic engineers, and talk about, a lot of talking, right, government meeting, what causes motorcycle wrecks? Eventually, what can we do about it, right? What causes them is visibility. And in a motorcycle, it's small, right? People all day long, from the time they started driving their Model T, are used to seeing a mass, something 15, 18 feet long, 7 feet wide, 2 headlights. That's the other thing. The double helix, right? And a 1 headlight configuration throws the brain of a driver off. They're not used to seeing it, and it doesn't register fully as motor vehicle because it's not what they anticipate. It's not what they expect. May is perfect. Maybe April even should be Motorcycle Awareness Month. 'Cause, you know, we kind of put them away a little bit in the winter. We don't use them as much. And 99.9% of the vehicles you see out there are cars and trucks, and motorcycles are kind of tucked away for the winter. And then in February, it gets a little warmer. Daytona comes around. We all break them out, charge the battery, or put air in the tires. That's the most dangerous time. People haven't seen bikes in 3 or 4 years. Where I'm from in New York, they ain't seen them in 6 months. That's when most of the accidents take place because their brains haven't registered what that mass is. It's a motorcycle, right? So every bike should have, I believe, LEDs. And the modulating headlights, I don't have a modulating headlight. I find that super annoying. But tell me it doesn't annoy you to the point you're looking at it like, oh my God, that's so annoying. That's a motorcycle. So I've often thought maybe I'd get that. I should practice what I preach, but I think the modulating headlight it's like a couple $100, right? Does anyone have one? You guys have all seen it. The Goldwing guys are big on that, right?
Yeah, I don't have one.
It's an easy custom piece, not cheap, but man, that's a very visible. Running lights are just as well. So the visibility to reduce the deaths, and frankly, the awareness, right? So when you see, or you know, Motorcycle Awareness Month, May, ABATE District 5, District 9, and you post that and share it, you might be saving somebody's life. We have, I've got 10,000 Facebook friends. So when I send something out there, it's reaching 10,000 people who are driving cars, right? And if I send it to my friend Chuck Watwood, or I send it to my friend Steel Horse Law, and they resend it, that's maybe 100,000 people that collectively, my competitors, right? So in the business arena, I just want to beat the shit out of those guys. I want the business. But we're all here for the same thing. We're all here to protect riders and make it safer. So even if you had 200 Facebook friends and you had 68 and you had 300, well, there's over 500 people that you can effectively plant a conscious thought of, okay, wait, motorcycles. Yeah, let me incorporate that into my drive today, even if it's subconsciously. I'm going to be aware that there's bikers out there. So that's part of what ABATE does, right? American Bikers Active Towards Education. 5 minutes. Anyway, so, the social media platforms, you guys can help with that for biker safety. Joining ABATE, that's a big deal. This is a very passionate organization. You guys aren't home watching your sitcom, having your dinner with your family. You're here. You're here working for a better cause. You're working for better legislation. You're working to educate the public. You're working ultimately to save bikers' lives. We do a lot of criminal work, some light corporate work. We do some other stuff at my firm in the hopes that maybe someday there'd be less motorcycle wrecks and we'd have to shift gears into a different business model, maybe. It hasn't really happened. It's getting worse, but it could get better. It could get better. So when I tell you that being seen is important, it's important. When I tell you that social awareness is important, you can help with that, that's important. Let me tell you the single biggest thing that's important for you as ABATE members with motorcycle deaths. Get your friends to come here. I challenge everybody in this room to bring one person to the next meeting. Somebody under 50. Now, somebody under 50. All right, bring your nephew. You see somebody on a motorcycle? Let me tell you, we did an informal poll at the board of directors meeting last month, down in Macon, right? And oh no, did we do this at my house at the party? How did you join ABATE? How did you join ABATE? That's right, that's what we did. I have kind of a microphone at my house like this, right? So we had, I don't know, 70, 60 people there. And I started out, I said, hey, you know how I joined ABATE? My sister and brother-in-law took me to a meeting in New York. These cool J-bikes came up with the chains on tires. I'm joining. I loved it. I've been a member ever since, right? I'm the number 00001 corporate life member of ABATE of Georgia. You can join as a corporation, too. You got a business to join ABATE? You can do that, too. We went around the room. How'd you join? My sister and brother-in-law took me. Brian Clifford, how'd he join? He saw some guy in the parking lot, started talking to him, and the guy engaged him about what ABATE was. Passed the microphone. How'd you join? Not one person said, oh, I joined because I saw a flyer. I joined because I got on the internet. I joined because I liked the Facebook page. It was a face-to-face, hey, where'd you get that vest? That's cool. People would say, oh, wow, I like those pins. Yeah, you like these pins? Well, it's ABATE, you know, and they would engage someone they didn't know in a bar, in a shop, at the Harley dealership, and they would dig that cool vest. Come with me to a meeting. What is it, 30 bucks?
30 a year, 50 for a couple.
Right. Listen, for the social interaction and the friendship that you get, eventually somebody's going to write that check and not even care about that $30. So to get us to grow, to get us to where we were in the 80s and the 90s, easy. Just everybody in the organization bring one person, right? We're almost at 1,000 now. It's 2,000. So that alone, I think, saves lives right there, because it's a shame what's happening. We're up to 260 deaths in Georgia now. We personally right here can affect change and bring that number down. Number one thing, get people to join this organization. Okay, any questions?
We went to the Douglas meeting.
Yeah.
The Nesmith and Granger, they had that thing, and they had the attorney and Skinny Bob. Because we kind of going over there, got in a little bit of trouble. It was too easy. You get the police, sheriff, prosecuting attorney. It was just too rich of a target to ask a lot of direct questions.
Yeah.
And mine was, why is it when I throw my leg over my motorcycle, my life becomes a misdemeanor if I get killed on it? Why is that? And of course, the representative's answer was
Terrible.
terrible.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's recorded. You heard his answer. It was basically, yeah, you knew the risk when you got on the damn
Right.
thing.
Assumption of the risk.
That pisses me off.
It's crazy.
So my question to you is, what, in your opinion, how can we curb that? You can't stop it, but you got to curb it, because the majority of people don't ride. So you got a jury full of people that don't ride. They go, why would an idiot ever get on a two-wheel thing with no doors and no roof?
Listen, you're singing my song. You are telling the story that affects how I feed my kids, right? I got to tell 12 people who, by odds, have never gotten on a motorcycle, right? By the odds, 12 people on my jury. I got some guy with no leg. I got a crying wife. Husband's dead. I got a broken arm that's maybe healed. Whatever I've got, I do it 20, 30 times a year, picking a jury. I'm a trial lawyer, right? How do you convince those 12 people that this poor biker didn't assume the risk? It's not easy to do. You got to humanize the biker. You have to apple pie. We call it. You have to apple pie it. You have to make it part of the American dream: freedom of the road, equal rights. For us, the general public, it's awareness. It's humanizing the biker. Listen, we go down to the Capitol, and years ago, God bless Yankee with the right, with the tail, right, the foxtail, all great stuff. But sometimes the legislators are like, ooh, leather vests, and yeah, they get nervous, right? They're like, ooh, there's a gang in town. So it's softening up the image a little bit, right? And frankly, it's a terrible word to use, but gentrifying the image to Honda, Yamaha, Husky, Duke, whatever, right? Because it has been a Harley-esque organization for many years. And, in the early 2000s, we did try to get a crossover market. We even did an ad campaign. We had like a black guy and an Asian lady, and we picked all these different social spectra faces to appeal to a broader market, to get younger, older, not just right. Let's to try and change ABATE up a little bit, and it worked to a degree, and it fell by the wayside. We changed leadership. We went through a lot of presidents in those years, so I mean that might be something for the future. But it is basically a prejudice against bikers, and I could talk about this for days. I could write a book about it. Getting on your motorcycle makes you feel cool. You feel cool on your motorcycle? You are cool. We're all cool on the motorcycle. Kind of a little badass. Kind of like the black leather. Wild Pigs, what's that movie? Easy Rider, my favorite movie in the whole world. That's part of the lifestyle, right? And everybody bitches about the 1% clubs. Oh, the outlaws, they're making us look bad. Bullshit. If it wasn't for them, you wouldn't feel so cool. Because that's kind of the personification of the role we want to play with the black leather. Now listen, it all goes off on the hook and the bike goes in the garage and you go sell insurance on Monday morning and it's all cool. But that bad boy image helps us feel awesome and cool and like freedom of the road and America, blah, yada, yada. But it hurts us too. And it hurts us in a sense. The public imagery can make John Q. Public not like us. Right? I mean, listen, I just tried a case in Coweta County with the Iron Cross Motorcycle Club. They wanted 45 years in jail for a case where my client's just chasing somebody who knocked over his friend's motorcycle. Now, did he pull his pistol out and shoot it in the air? Yeah, he's trying to stop them. He's trying to get their attention. But that doesn't get you 45 years in jail. Why were they prejudiced? Because he's a biker. And worse yet, he's a gang member. I'm going to tell you this. It's worth telling you this to go past a couple minutes. Now, the DA and I became a little friendly. Now, Herb Schaefer's the elected district attorney. He's the youngest in the state, and he's a nice guy, hard-working dude. But we got invited into his war room to see all the different 1% gangs up on the wall, and the pictures, and pictures of me in clubhouses where they had surveilled us, and me going to meetings, and he chuckled about it, and he laughed. He says, Steve, you know, no offense or nothing, but, you know, we see you going in and out of the Outlaws Clubhouse, and we see you representing Iron Cross guys, and, you know, the Knights of Solomon were involved in that case, too, and, you know, they got indicted, and I went around the wall, I said, geez, what's this? It said, and it had 74 clubs that they basically pinched from the FBI's terrorist organization motorcycle clubs, right? And it had the Banditos, the Hells Angels, it had all that, right? And they added a bunch like that were indigenous to Georgia. Raw Sewage Motorcycle Club. It's a Chicago club, dead in the 50s, resurged here. A dozen members in South Atlanta. Friends of mine, I represent them. I own a bar with one of them now. Right? They're up on the club. How do you know about those guys? Oh, we know. We have surveillance and we have our ways. And then under it all, it said, ABATE of Georgia. I swear to you as I'm standing here. And on the witness list, they had 80 people, mostly police officers and members of the clubs, and they would go and they would figure out who the president of a particular club was. Well, you know, on the witness list, like to come and testify at this trial we were going to have, here's the name. Ned Williams. Anybody know who that is? Okay. Now, God bless Ned. He's a little weird, but he's a good man. Now, he's not the president anymore. Brian is. So they were not aware of that. So, the president of this gang, his name's Ned Williams. Let's reach out to him and put him on the witness list to testify at the trial. So Ned called me. You couldn't get a tent stake up his you couldn't get a tent stake up his ass with a sledgehammer. He was like, oh my God, they're gonna. I said, Ned, take it easy. You know, it's a freaking not-for-profit educational foundation. You are at no risk of getting in trouble. And Brian, he didn't give a shit. Take me to jail. You know, our leader now, he's a badass guy. But right there is the story, just a month ago, personal story, of how the perception of the biker is like this bad person because you wear black leather and you throw a leg over. Okay? So not-for-profit 501c4, registered every year. I pay the damn fee, right? Right up on the wall with Mongols, Hells Angels, right up, you know, ABATE of Georgia. True story. So that's the image we're fighting. How do you fight that image? Hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you. Right? You act friendly. You ride properly. You get people to join. But It is what it is, folks. This year. It's what? September?
270 is what you said.
It's going to be. It's going to be this year, yeah. Now, the motorcycle sales have been down, but and you hear about that, and the economy's not great in the motorcycle market, but not with the used bikes. There's a lot of turnover in the market. A lot of people moving here from colder states, bringing and buying motorcycles, so our numbers are skewed a bit because our population has increased.
Okay, so it's not one of those things, if people get killed on motorcycles, we're going to quit selling motorcycles like guns kill people?
No, I mean, we're actually aging out. Our especially our cruising markets are aging out. You know, in the past 10 years, the average age of the Harley buyer has increased 7 years. That's huge. I mean, if you extrapolate that number, all Harley buyers are dead in 25 years. So, of course, live wire.
And that bike's a legal mark, where they were.
Yeah, listen, Harley's got its own issues, but
People don't travel on motorcycles like they used to.
they don't commute on them anymore.
We do, all over.
Yeah.
So I have a question. What do you think our chances are in Georgia to get, kill a bike and go to jail?
Very good, very good. See, in Georgia, where I come from in New York, murder and homicide is a complicated rubric of Schedule A, B, C, D, E felony. Here, it's just vehicular homicide is a felony or a misdemeanor. That's it. It's not complicated. It's not trifurcated into a bunch of different classes, right? So when you kill somebody on your car who's a biker or a pedestrian or in a car, if you're drunk, it's a felony. If you're sober, it's a misdemeanor. It's really kind of too simple. It's too simple. You know, it doesn't account for road rage. It doesn't account for excessive speed. Is 80 excessive? Is 120 excessive? It doesn't. It leaves too much discretion up to the DA, who doesn't have a lot of sympathy for us. That's the problem. That's the problem. So, kill a biker, go to jail is a nice slogan, but we got a long way to go with the District Attorneys Association to get there. And I've been a member of that association, and they're frying bigger fish. You know, they got the abortion thing is now out, and some DAs were gonna prosecute it, and some DAs are saying, the female DAs are going, I ain't doing it. I ain't prosecuting that crime, right? Cobb County, they're not prosecuting marijuana crimes anymore. They got 10,000 pending cases. They're gonna throw them out. All right, so there's a bunch of stuff going on politically with hemp and cannabis and the abortion.
Curious because, as you know.
We're kind of taking a back seat this year.
But if the general public starts writing the DAs regarding cases, it brings it closer to the.
Oh, no doubt about it. You can get on ABATE's website, upload the form, print it off, and sign it. You didn't got to write the letter. We wrote it for you. It's in a PDF format on our website. You want to mail 100 of them? Mail 100 of them. Because listen, DA runs for office every 10 years, just like a congressman, just like a state legislator. DAs run for 10 years, and they want to win. They want to keep running. Voters, man. Political action, and we're not a political action committee, but we're a not-for-profit political organization, educational organization. That's the C4.
Any other questions?
All good?
Perfect.
All right, nice to see everybody.